Have you ever felt like you had to change everything around you just to feel okay inside? Like if you just had a new job, a different partner, more money, or moved to another place, then you'd finally feel better? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Most of us were taught to think that way. But what if that idea is actually what's keeping you stuck? Let me ask you something. What if the real change you're looking for doesn't come from fixing your entire life, but from shifting how you see it? Sounds simple, right? Maybe even too simple. But here's the thing. If you keep trying to change the outside while ignoring what's going on inside, you'll always feel like something's missing, no matter how much change is out there. In this video, we're going to flip that script. We'll go deep into the invisible patterns that are shaping how you see the world, your beliefs, your emotional wounds, your automatic reactions, and how they silently run your life without you even realizing it. You'll learn how to shift your perspective in a way that brings real relief, clarity, and peace, even if nothing around you changes. That's the kind of change that actually lasts. And by the time we're done, you'll understand why you don't need to escape your life to transform it. You'll start to see yourself and the world through a clearer, softer, and more powerful lens. This isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about learning how to meet your life differently, so it finally starts meeting you differently. If you're tired of feeling like everything's out of your hands, stay with me, because this might be the shift you've been needing for a long time. And hey, if this message resonated with you, please take a moment to like, follow, and share with someone who might also need to hear this. You never know whose world and person you could help change just by passing this along. The truth is, we don't see the world as it really is. We see it based on how we feel inside. Our past, our fears, our beliefs, the things we've been through, they all become a kind of lens. And everything we experience gets filtered through that lens. That's why two people can go through the same situation and see it completely differently. One sees a problem, the other sees a lesson. What changed? Not the world, the way they see it. Think about someone who grew up always feeling like they weren't good enough. As an adult, every silence, every look, every little rejection feels like proof that they're still not enough. But maybe it's not about what's really happening. Maybe it's just the way they learn to protect themselves. And it's not their fault. We all build defenses to survive pain. But if we don't realize we're still looking through those old filters, we end up stuck, and life feels heavier than it has to. Now here's the good news. When you shift what's going on inside, the outside starts to feel different too. It's not magic, it's perception. Once you start healing what hurts, those same things don't hit as hard anymore. And suddenly, the world feels less like a threat. That's where real change begins. Because maybe you don't need to fix everything out there. Maybe you just need to see more clearly. And when that happens, a lot begins to shift, even without changing much at all. It's easy to think that if we just fix everything around us, we'll finally feel better inside. If the job gets better, if the partner changes, if the money comes, if people start treating us differently, then we'll feel peace. But the truth? The more we chase control out there, the more out of control we feel in here. It's like trying to fix a mirror by cleaning the reflection instead of your face. You keep wiping the glass, but the smudge never goes away. Many people spend their whole lives rearranging the furniture of their external world, hoping it will fix the discomfort inside. But when something finally gets fixed, something else always shows up. It's exhausting. And little by little, you start to feel helpless, like life is always one step ahead. That's because when the focus is only on the outside, you miss where real change happens, on the inside. That's where your real power is, not in controlling the world, but in how you relate to it. There's a kind of quiet strength that comes when you stop trying to manage everything around you, when you pause and ask, what's really going on inside me right now? That's when something shifts. Maybe you can't change the storm, but you can learn to breathe differently in the middle of it. And the crazy thing is, when you do, the storm often changes too. But we'll get to that, because there's a deeper truth waiting in the next step. Ever noticed how two people can go through the exact same moment and react in totally different ways? One person stays calm, the other explodes. Same situation, different inner worlds. That's because our reactions aren't really about what's happening. They're about what's already happening inside us, what we carry, what's unresolved, what's been touched. A simple comment can feel like a knife, not because it's sharp, but because it hit a wound. Think about a time you overreacted. Maybe someone said something small, and you felt this huge emotional wave rise up inside. That moment wasn't really about them. It was about something deeper. Maybe a memory from childhood, maybe an old fear or belief. And that's the thing. Life keeps pressing the same buttons until we realize, wait, this button is mine. That's the beginning of emotional maturity. When you stop blaming the trigger and start exploring the wound. It doesn't mean you won't feel things. You're human. But it means you can start responding instead of reacting. Responding is conscious. It gives you space to choose. And that space, that's your power. It's what turns chaos into clarity. So instead of fighting every situation, you begin to ask better questions. Why did that hit me so hard? What does this say about what I need to heal? And those questions, well, they'll take you to a kind of peace that no reaction ever could. Most people think peace comes when everything finally calms down out there. No stress, no conflict, no surprises. But have you ever had everything go right and still felt uneasy? That's because peace isn't something the world hands to you. It's something you build on the inside. Real peace is quiet, steady, and not easily shaken. And it doesn't depend on whether your plans work out. It depends on whether you are grounded no matter what happens. Imagine someone sitting in traffic, completely calm. Now imagine another person in the same traffic, yelling, honking, stressed out of their mind. What's the difference? Not the traffic. It's the inner world. One has trained themselves to stay anchored. The other is pulled by every wave. Building inner peace is like growing roots. You don't control the weather, but you can choose how deeply you're planted. Practices like mindfulness, journaling, or even taking 5 deep breaths. They sound simple, but they train your system to stay steady when life shakes. And here's where it gets interesting. When you stop depending on everything around you to feel okay, you become unshakable. People sense it. You stop being pulled into every drama, every little thing that doesn't go your way. That's not about ignoring life. It's about facing it with a calm that comes from within. And once you start discovering that kind of peace, something else becomes possible. Something that goes beyond just feeling better. The way we feel about something isn't just about what happened. It's about the meaning we gave to it. And the meaning? That's something we create. Let's say someone doesn't reply to your message. One person might think, they're ignoring me. I must have done something wrong. Another might think, they're probably just busy. Same event, different meaning. And that difference? It changes everything. Your mood, your confidence, your next move. Most of our suffering doesn't come from life itself. It comes from the story we tell ourselves about life. We add layers, assumptions, fears, judgments, and those layers shape how we feel. What if instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You asked, what else could this mean? That one question can shift your whole emotional landscape. A rejection could mean you're not enough, or it could mean you were being redirected towards something better. This doesn't mean pretending things are good when they're not. It means realizing you have the power to rewrite the emotional script. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, once said, everything can be taken from a person except one thing, the freedom to choose their attitude in any given set of circumstances. That kind of mindset isn't just powerful, it's freeing. And once you start changing what things mean, something unexpected starts to happen in how you experience the world around you. You ever notice how certain things just get to you, like really bother you, while others might not care at all? That's not random. Often, what triggers you in the outside world is pointing to something inside that still needs healing. It's like life holds up a mirror and says, hey, look here. And the more intense your reaction, the more likely it's touching something unresolved. It's not about blaming yourself. It's about becoming aware of the patterns that keep repeating. Let's say you feel invisible in group settings. You might think people are ignoring you, but maybe what's really hurting is an old story from childhood, when you felt like no one noticed you, no matter what you did. So now, every time it feels like someone doesn't see you, it brings back that same pain. The world didn't create the wound, it just touched it. And if you try to change the world instead of healing the wound, it'll keep happening, just in different ways, different people, same feeling. Healing begins when you stop blaming everything outside and start asking, why does this hit me so deeply? That's not weakness, that's emotional strength. Because the more you understand your inner world, the less power the outer world has to throw you off. And the crazy part? When you begin to heal, the mirror changes. You stop seeing so much chaos and start noticing more peace. But to get there, you need one thing, something that most people don't even realize they have. One of the biggest lies we're taught is that we have no choice, that we're stuck reacting, stuck feeling, stuck living the same story. But that's not true. Real freedom starts the moment you realize, I don't have to keep reacting this way. You might not control what happens to you, but you always have a choice in how you respond. And that choice? It's where your power lives. It's the gap between what happens and what comes next. Let's say someone criticizes you. Old pattern? Get defensive, shut down, or attack back. But what if you paused and chose differently? What if you asked yourself, is this really about me? Or do I need to take this personally? That 1 second of awareness can stop a cycle that's been running for years. Choice isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, subtle, just a breath, a shift in tone, a decision to respond with clarity instead of chaos. And every time you make that choice, to slow down, to reflect, to respond instead of react, you're taking back your power. You're showing your nervous system that you're safe, that you're not a victim of every feeling or thought that comes up. That kind of emotional freedom isn't built overnight, but it builds fast when you practice it. And the more you choose consciously, the more you realize something surprising, a hidden strength that's been with you all along. In a world that's constantly pulling your attention in 1,000 directions, just being here, fully present, is a rare and powerful thing. Most people live on autopilot, replaying the past or worrying about the future. But presence, it brings you back to this moment. And this moment is where life actually happens. It's where you feel, choose, connect, breathe. It's where healing starts and clarity lives. Presence isn't passive. It's active, awake, and deeply alive. Ever talk to someone who was really with you? No distractions, no looking at their phone, just there, listening, feeling, holding space. That kind of presence heals. It builds trust, intimacy, connection. And the same happens when you give that presence to yourself, when you slow down and actually notice what you're feeling instead of running from it. That's not weakness, that's power. That's the kind of attention that changes the way you move through the world. And the more present you are, the more you notice. Most of the stress, fear, and noise, it lives in your head, not in the now. Right now, in this very breath, you are okay. And the more you return to that truth, the less you need to escape. Being present doesn't mean life stops being hard. It means you're finally here to live it, not just survive it. And from that place, you'll start to see something clearly that most people miss completely. One of the hardest things to accept is that we don't control as much as we think we do. We try. Oh, we try. We plan everything, worry in advance, prepare for every possible outcome. But control is mostly an illusion. And the more you try to grip life tightly, the more it slips through your fingers. You can't force people to behave a certain way. You can't stop unexpected things from happening. But you can learn to trust yourself in the middle of uncertainty. And that's where real strength is. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing the need to manipulate everything. It means choosing peace over obsession. Imagine holding sand in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it spills. But if you relax your grip, it stays. That's how life works too. When you stop trying to control every detail, space opens up for new possibilities, for joy, for flow, and most of all, for trust. Trust in yourself, in life, in the unfolding that you don't need to micromanage. And here's what surprises most people. When you stop trying to control everything, you don't feel more lost. You actually feel lighter, freer, more you. Because control isn't the same as safety. Real safety doesn't come from predicting everything. It comes from knowing you can handle whatever comes. And once you get a taste of that kind of inner confidence, something even more solid starts to form inside you. Something that can't be shaken so easily by what happens out there. We're taught to chase stability on the outside, a steady job, a secure relationship, a full bank account. And while those things do matter, they're not enough if you feel anxious, unsafe, or lost on the inside. Because here's the truth. No amount of money or certainty can protect you from inner chaos. Real safety isn't about having everything under control. It's about knowing how to stay grounded, even when things fall apart. Think about it. How many times have you had all the right things but still couldn't relax? That's because your nervous system doesn't respond to your paycheck or your calendar. It responds to how safe you feel inside your own body. That's where the real work begins. It's in creating a space within yourself that feels calm, clear, and steady, even if life outside is noisy. That's what gives you resilience. That's what lets you breathe even in the middle of uncertainty. And here's the powerful part. Inner safety is something you can build through small, daily practices like grounding yourself in your breath, speaking kindly to yourself, setting real boundaries, or simply pausing before reacting. You start to rewire what safety feels like. And the more you strengthen that inner foundation, the less dependent you become on the outside being perfect, which leads to something even deeper, a shift that changes how life responds to you. There's something kind of magical and very real that happens when you change on the inside. The world around you starts to shift too, not because everything out there suddenly becomes perfect, but because you are seeing it, responding to it, and moving through it differently. Your energy changes, your patterns change, and people feel that. Life reflects who you're being, not just what you're doing. That's why inner work isn't just healing, it's transformative. Let's say you've always felt like people don't listen to you, but then you begin to speak with more clarity and self-respect, not from anger, but from truth. Suddenly, people respond differently, not because they changed first, but because you did. Or maybe you stop chasing validation and start valuing your own worth. And suddenly, relationships that drained you start falling away while new ones begin to align. That's not coincidence. That's alignment in motion. This is the kind of shift that doesn't need to be forced. It happens naturally when your inner world starts reflecting what you truly value and believe. You don't have to beg for change. You become the change. And the more you align with your truth, the more life seems to meet you there. It's like opening a new door you didn't even know existed. And once you walk through that door, you realize maybe you were never stuck to begin with. Sometimes we fall into the trap of thinking that we have to start over completely to feel better, move to a new city, quit everything, leave everyone behind. But real change doesn't always come from running away. Often it comes from seeing your life with new eyes. The job might be the same, the house might be the same, the people might be the same, but you are different. And when you change, how you experience everything changes too. It's easy to fantasize about a fresh start, but what if you didn't need to burn everything down to begin again? What if the real transformation is already possible right where you are? That doesn't mean settling. It means waking up to the power you do have, even in familiar spaces. The way you breathe, the way you speak to yourself, the way you respond to stress, the way you show up in your relationships. All of that is part of the shift. And here's the most liberating part. When you stop trying to escape your life and start meeting it with presence, awareness, and intention, it stops feeling like a trap. It starts feeling like something you can shape, something you can live with more honesty and less fear. And maybe, just maybe, what you were looking for out there was actually waiting to be uncovered right here, inside of you, all along. So now the question is, what are you going to do with this awareness? Will you keep chasing change on the outside, hoping it finally brings peace? Or will you start making space inside, space to breathe, to heal, to respond differently, to actually live differently? Because the truth is, your power isn't out there. It's been in you all along, just waiting to be noticed. What part of your life needs a new lens? What belief or story have you been holding on to that no longer fits the person you're becoming? Change doesn't always require loud moves or big risks. Sometimes it starts in silence, in reflection, in one honest question you finally dare to ask yourself. So, what are you ready to let go of today? If this video made you think, feel, or see something in a new way, leave a comment and tell me what hit you the most. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next steps on this journey. We've got more to explore, and I promise the next shift might just change everything.